Hi mate, what's your name and how old are you?
I'm Dennis, I'm 16.
16, cool.
So I'm Eaton Stennett Green and I'm 18 years old.
We just seen you shooting basketball there, so did you grow up in Milton Keynes?
No, I didn't grow up in Milton Keynes, unfortunately. But I grew up in Bedford, but I usually come to Milton Keynes to play basketball.
Okay, and what do you think it's like for young people growing up in Milton Keynes now?
I think it's an experience to like compared to growing up other places. Like I've lived in Bedford as well.
I think Milton Keynes is a good town for people, especially people who play basketball.
And you see that Milton Keynes is such a vast place. It's not as multicultural as some other places, but it's just growing and it's like developing so fast.
And how important is sport and basketball specifically to young kids in Milton Keynes?
We used to have the London Lions here be the Milton Keynes Lions, but after that it kind of went down. But as we've got the Breakers and like everything's developing so fast, it's really became important. I think a lot of kids out there especially like need it as like something to do outside of school.
You have a lot of opportunities when you're growing up here. You know, a lot of good coaches, which really gives us a chance to develop when we're playing basketball.
There's not much like clubs around MK, so it's nice that there's a club in our hometown where we can play and have like good organised basketball.
Yeah, they hold a lot of tournaments that help us like get off the streets, make sure that people are participating in sports instead of wasting their life.
I'm speaking to a couple of coaches there, it gives them sort of somewhere to come, learn the values of life, take them away from maybe peer pressure outside the streets.
As well as Milton Keynes, but probably across like just the majority of kids growing up, I'd say it's like the availability and access to do activities, whether that's sport or kind of like down your like musical and art type route. Just probably, especially like in this day and age with how much everything costs, just the accessibility to do new things and try new things.
Give them something to focus on, a bit of teamwork, and obviously to broaden their horizons, move forward. It's what they can achieve out of life rather than getting sucked into life of crime.
You can play for fun, you can play competitively, like it doesn't always have to be like as maybe serious as school is, and I think that gives like a wide variety of kids more of a chance to be involved in something and feel like they're a part of something. I think like the family side, especially at team sports like basketball, also gives them a really good community to be a part of and gives them something to strive for.
So like personally, did you see your like behaviour start to change when you got involved with basketball?
Of course. Like academically, like I was never the best, you know what I mean? But playing basketball, trying to play basketball at a high level, like if you want to keep playing basketball after year 11, like you have to go college, and then if you want to keep playing basketball after college, you got to go university, do you know what I mean? So as soon as you pick the ball up, if you pick the ball up and you're trying to extend contact from me, if I ball the chair, you'll never make it.
Like people who aren't very good academically have something to fall back on if they really enjoy the sport and they have a passion and love for it.
Say for people living in bad areas, they want to, like move out that area, do well in basketball, bring out like their family from like a bad area. Basketball's a good way.
Pick the heat. It's kind of sick, I can't lie.
You want the heat one?
Yeah, take the heat. Take the heat. Yeah, real green. Heat.
The heat? Oh, what are we paying for this? 5. No, 5.
5.
First to 5?
Yeah.
Oh,
no. What the heck? That's messed up. 3-2-2. 3-2-2. Don't go for the rainbow. Oh.
Yeah!
Thank you. Can you want that?
Take this off though.
Lucky.
Yeah, it's a good pathway. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're trying to play mainly basketball, but any sport at a high level, you're gonna have to keep going in terms of education if you want to keep progressing in terms of different opportunities, whether it's here or out in the States. So.
Today's a good day, people! Let's go! Woo!
want to just tell us your name and what you do here?
I'm Gary Hagland and I'm a boxing coach.
Yeah, my name's Chris O'Reilly. I've been here since I was about 29, so 6 years now, 35.
So how important do you think boxing is for keeping kids on the straight and narrow, like specifically in Milton Keynes?
I think it's really good because of the discipline and what it gives the kids something to do.
Oh, definitely. Keeping them off the streets, coming here. So, like you say, instead of be out on the streets doing anything, instead doing here, training, keeping fit, keeping healthy, staying off all the other sorts, drinking, drugs, etc.
Yeah.
So it always helps, yeah, definitely.
Do the kids like immediately respond to boxing, have you found, when they come in for the first time?
Yeah, I would say, obviously they see it on TV and people that are famous, all the famous boxers, then they gives them a little bit to inspire them.
And from your experiences with the kids here, what do you think is the main problem that they're facing around Milton Keynes at the minute?
Not enough social places like this, really. Not enough. I mean, gyms are usually for 18s and above. There's not really, apart from football, there's not really other places here for them to be out and off the streets, really. But boxing is, yeah, definitely.
I'm Alan Granger. I'm a head coach here at Milton Keynes Academy Amateur Boxing Club. The club has been running for about 14 years, 2 different locations, but we're settled here now.
And how important is boxing for young kids?
It's very important. I grew up in Glasgow, a rough estate in Glasgow, and boxing kept me out of trouble, guided my life, and then I've dedicated my whole life to one sport.
Alright, shadow boxing, guys, let's go!
Taking the fighting out of it, how important is it to just have a role model for a sport?
Yeah, well, my coach is my role model, so I live through him. I pass everything on he gave me, so I'm passing it back to these guys.
I mean, I've known Alan years. I don't even know how many years, and around about 8 years. And every single time I've spoken to him, he's always been sweet. He's the one that taught me how to fight, pretty much. So
there must be like some similarities between the army and boxing in terms of like discipline.
Yeah, 100%. I do a bit of boxing in the army as well, and like the way that Alan conducts himself, you can definitely tell that he's a bit of a scary man.
Like when I was younger, it was a lot easier to be a kid, you know. Like you could go out and do anything. Like you could run around with whoever and you'd be alright. But now everything's a bit too much like London, though. Do you know what I mean?
I grew up in Kiev. It's the capital. It's an old city, so there's like loads of stuff you can go to and like have fun. But in MK, it's a bit like boring.
But even when I was younger, it was quiet. There was kids playing about. There was no trouble. But now any estate you go to is considered a bad estate. So I think if more people knew stuff like this, they wouldn't fight in the first place, because obviously everything's like, with most times it's all competitive and that, but when you're in a boxing gym like this, that's not your nature. Your nature is to grow with the people around you and better each other, you know?
Like now, living in Milton Keynes, what do you think is the main problem that like young kids are facing around here?
Young kids, I mean, it's obviously the drugs and the violence, isn't it? I mean, it goes without saying that knife crime's obviously on the rise. It's been on the rise for years, but yeah, there's just violence and drugs and stuff. It's like places like this that helps people get off the streets and gives them like a route into something, good.
And what else do you think like Milton Keynes in general could do to keep young people out of trouble?
I think pushing for sport programs, pushing for things that kids can do out of sports, like opening like rec centres and stuff, that would really help with keeping kids out of trouble and keeping kids on like a good path, I'd say, yeah.